Everyone. We have another episode of Mike coming to you live from a wicker bed on vacation and doing some lighting critiques. So we've got a handful of submissions today. We've got Mindy. Well, first off, we're going to talk a little bit about Alfredo's submission yesterday. We have Mindy with a couple submissions today with our knitted bunny, and we have Aaron with an update to our poker post. So first off, I wanted to talk about Alfredo's piece. So one of the things that we always reiterate and that we talk about a lot is the importance of reference. And I thought that this was a really good example of why reference is important in communicating your vision for a shot and your plan and your structure. So yesterday, Alfredo posted this. It's a great start. We gave notes, yada, yada, yada. And then today he was like, oh, I meant to post the reference image. And so when I saw this, I thought of ways of making it a little darker, a little scarier, a little creepier, a little like, because I've always, truth be told, I'm not the biggest fan of bats. So every time I see him, I'm like, let's just make him gnarly. But then Alfredo submitted this, actually, it was this reference, and I pulled up this one just to kind of get it more in context with the shot. Um, Posted this as reference, and I was like, oh, you're going for like a Hotel Transylvania thing, which is different, right? Hotel Transylvania is Dracula and all these characters, but it's also like its audience is geared a little younger. You can see that these characters like Dracula isn't lit like Nosferatu. It's not like up under, up super underneath lighting. It's very high key, very high. They're very low key to fill ratio, and meaning that the fill value is very high. The skin tones are still very warm. Like it's pretty much it's a character that might be evil, but like still lit very happily. So for this, what you would want to do is desaturate the key light, kick it up a little bit higher. Don't quite go so cool in the fill values, because really when we're seeing this reference, we're only seeing here. My daughter started crying. They needed to switch out the room, so we're good. Okay, so as I was saying, if you look at this, um, the fill value is very high. There's not a lot of, it's like maintaining the hero color of the skin, lots of warm tones. So you don't want to go too cool in the fill value. Where you want the coolness to reach in is on the rim light here. So if this is more what you're matching, um, make sure you hit that value. And then the great thing about Hotel Transylvania is how they handled getting shaping in the dark value. Because again, like the girl here, her hair is just like super specky and gets lots of specular fill value. So I would, the same thing with Dracula's cape. So I would just look into that. So when you're looking at his cape, looking at getting those darker black, like keeping it black, but also getting good shaping with the specular highlight. So really great example of how reference can really guide us to making sure that you're creating the type of image that you want to create. So Mindy, okay, great reference, great example here. The structure of the shot, it's amazing how like removing that this darker foreground character kind of changes the structure of the shot. Um, but looking at just the character lighting, you're doing a good job of kind of matching the direction and the overall feel of it. A couple things that I want to see more of. Three things. I want to see like a touch more warmth in the key side. The eye. If you look at the eye on hops here, the black level on her eye is very dark, which creates more contrast and allows us to really focus in there. Um, I would like to kind of make that just like a little bit darker in the eyes specifically to make sure that we're reading that pop. So warmth in the key, darkness around the eyes, and then the third one is it's subtle. We're seeing a lot of bounce fill up underneath her here, and that's again when you've got a bright sunny day, you're going to get a lot more. You're going to get a lot of light because the sunlight is incredibly intense, and it's going to hit objects and bounce off objects and fill in dark areas. And I would like to see a little bit more of that, like a little bit of like a warm bounce kind of up in here. Um, and the best way to do that is to make sure that you have a ground plane or something that the character is standing on to simulate that, so that it actually will give this key light something to bounce off of and fill up in there. So just make sure you have something like that. If you already do, then you may just want to throw in like a little area light or something to bounce some more light up in there. In terms of your night scene, um, love Kubo as well. Um, I think I think there's a little bit more green in the sky reference of in this kind of moon fill light here. Then yours is more like a true blue, and I would maybe shift it a little bit more green. Um, the in this shot, it really is a matter of this moonlight just being a kind of a pure rim. In this one here, it starts to get into being more of a fill value. So I would take that down and just really focus on it being like just these subtle kind of rim hits around. Um, I'm looking at the key light and wondering if we shouldn't just bump up the intensity just a little bit, like just like maybe more in that range. So, yeah, maybe something more like that. And maybe not quite that much, but really, because the darkness that we're seeing from this is mostly because we're getting occluded shadow from the hair, but I think it would be a little bit brighter than that. So I would just bump that up just a little bit. And that's it. So that's really good progress on these. Um, and Aaron, this is it's a good progress as well. I was just looking at this to make sure I got the right version, but I'm not quite sure what your number code is. So I'm assuming I got the right one. Okay. Um, in terms of, so one of the things I was thinking about this when I was looking at it earlier was that um, underwater, the key light is going to be much more diffuse, like because light hits the water and it gets scattered through and kind of goes all over the place. And I was just like looking at this kind of stark shadow there. And I think we should soften that. The key light as a whole on the character, just kind of broaden it out so it's not quite so harsh on the face, and it kind of softens out over there. Um, keep pushing the dark values in the middle here, because I just like basically I'm not seeing a lot of distinct difference in the dark value, like in here versus back here. And I really want to feel like a difference in those two spaces. I want area that's in one to feel a little bit darker. Um, and then if there's any way, trying to figure out if there's a way to, yeah, I think I'm trying to figure out if there's a way to like create more shaping on the hat and get the hat to read a little bit better. Because like looking at it right now, it's just got like this red spot here. It's shaping across here. I'm kind of missing the bill. Really, it's a lot of it would be eliminating that and just kind of reading the shape of it a little bit better, because you don't want that red bit, because then it just takes off its color and we kind of lose it. Um, but yeah, I think that's it. So just make sure you're, again, just like keep trying to darken in this middle area to get it to separate off, soften that key light, and we'll see where we land there. Also, I would take down this a little bit too, just because that's kind of pulling my eye over there. But other than that, yeah, lots and lots of progress. Next time I will try and bring up your original, because I think seeing where you are now versus your original will make you realize how far you've come. Because I think, or you can take a look at it yourself, because so often you get caught in the iterations and you kind of lose track of your overall progress, which you should be very proud of. So, all right, so only 2 locations today. We'll see if we can hit 3 tomorrow. All right, happy lighting, everybody.